In this video, we're going to review how to convert decimals to fractions using place value. So I thought we would start by looking at a place value chart. If you look here, I want you to notice that the main difference between the place value to the left of the decimal and the place values to the right of the decimal is the fact that over here we start at the ones and then we move to the tens and then the hundreds. Well, over here on the other side, you'll notice there's no one-ths place. We just start at, basically we start mirroring it at the tens. So over here we have tenths, and then hundreds over here, and then on the other side we have hundredths. On the left we have thousands, on the right we have thousandths. So it's like a THS, where here is just an S at the end. We have 10,000s, 10,000ths. We have 100,000s, so we have 100,000ths. So over here we have millions, and over here you can imagine we would have millionths would be the next place. If this is 10 millions, then over here we'd have 10 millionths. If this is 100 millions, over here we'd have 100 millionths. So basically the pattern is the same on both sides, except for over here we start with the ones, but on the right side we start with the tenths. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we're converting decimals to fractions. Alright, let's look at our example 1. Decimal 04. Let's go ahead and count the places. So tenths, hundredths. We're going to place 4 over 100. Now, we can reduce this by dividing each by 2. Sorry, this is a little messy. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. And I'm realizing now I should have divided by 4 right away. But no worries, we'll just divide by 2 again. Dividing by 2 twice is the same as dividing by 4. And we end up finally with 1 over 25 as our most simplified form. So we just converted our first decimal to fraction. Alright, decimal 3, we just start saying the places. So the first place is the tenths place. So we put this over 10. 3 is only divisible by 3, and 10 is not divisible by 3, so that's as simple as it gets. Alright, decimal 025, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So we put 25 over 1,000. And I'm going to just divide each of these by, well, you could divide it by 5, but then you're going to end up dividing it by 5 again. So I noticed right away that you could just divide it by 25. So 25 divided by 25 is 1. And then I'm just going to focus on this 100. 100 divided by 25. Well, there's 4 quarters in 100, or in a dollar. So 4. And then I'm going to add this 0 back on. So this becomes 1/40th. Alright, let's count these places. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000. Okay, 100,000ths. So we're going to put this over 100,000. Okay, I'm sorry that looks so messy, but 19 over 100,000. Let's count the places for the next example. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So it's 212 over 1,000. And then I know I can divide each of these by 2 because they're both even. So I'm not going to write divide by 2, I'm just going to split it in half. So 212 divided by 2 is 106, and 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. And then again, I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 2 because I know the numerator and denominator are both even numbers, so I can divide them both by 2. So half of 106 is 53, and half of 500 is 250. So you'll notice that we're writing the fraction and then we're trying to reduce it. So 53 over 250. Let's see if we can reduce that any further. So if I think of 250 being broken down, that's the same as 25 times 10. And 25 breaks down into 5 times 5. And 10 breaks down into 5 times 2. So I have the prime factorization of 250. So essentially I just need to check 53 and see if you can divide it by 5 and by 2. You can't divide 53 by 5 because it doesn't end in 0 or 5. You can't divide 53 by 2 because it's not an even number. So we know that that's simplified completely. That brings us to our last example. Tenths, hundredths. So I put 77 over 100. And 77 is made up of just 7 times 11. And I can't divide 100 by 7 or 11, so I know that this is reduced completely. So now you can go ahead and try 1 through 23 on your paper.